Hey guys, it's Lori here today.
It's Matt.
And here on the Impossible Marriage Minute, we're talking about why doesn't he lead? Why doesn't he share his opinion? I don't know where I got this idea from. I have no idea. And really, we could go forever and ever in different avenues about leadership. Let's talk about that. Why not? And some of the different reasons, but I want to focus in on one incident that happened this weekend that led to a pretty, I don't want to say intense conversation.
It was a good conversation.
It was a good conversation. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm an Enneagram 4 with a 3-wing. And so I'm usually the one in the family. There's usually one in the family who sets the schedule. Matt is a 9 on the Enneagram.
Come right alongside.
Yep, he's so good at seeing how things work, the whole scene. However, this is how it can feel to me, the 4-3. So we do our day, and I'm like, let's go for a walk, because that's all we can do in the pandemic. Or let's eat this food, or let's do this grocery shopping. And at the end of the day, so this weekend, he's like, why did this day feel so hard? And I felt so defensive, because it can feel like I come up with the day, and Matt's like, passive is how it feels, doesn't share his emotions. True. And we just do the day. And then at the end of the day, it feels like he is holding up. That's how it feels. It's not how it is. It feels like he's holding up the report card and he's like, well, here's how we could have done this day way better. And I'm like, dang it! If you would actually share, I ask him, I invite his opinion. What do you think we should do? Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Or he just goes along with whatever I say. So I'm in the middle of that fight. But little did I realize I forgot something that had happened before this conversation. Is Matt had said something to me. What did you say?
I was talking about listening to the podcast and how a listener had said they have Dr. Mario kind of battles with their spouse. And I said, that sounds really fun.
And I said, no, it doesn't. At all. I said it several times. Now, the podcast, he's talking about the one with Branson Parlor, the one on polyamory on the Hole in My Heart podcast. In case you don't know, we do a podcast. And so here we are in the middle of this fight about, I'm like, you never share your opinion. You never do anything. And he's like, but what about when I did about Mario Kart? And I'm like,
Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario. Whatever. I mean, I hear you. Because in that moment, he's like, I shared my opinion. I'm like, about a video game? I'm like, shh, let's talk about this. He's like, no, I shared my opinion. And I was like, but I don't want to play video games. He's like, I don't want to play necessarily with you. I was trying to tell you, and what were you saying by saying video game thing? What did you mean by that, Matt?
Well, I was meaning that sounds fun. And I miss going and hanging out with my friends and doing things like that.
So he had an actual opinion and heart thing and something he could have put on the calendar. He could have said, Lori, my heart is hurting because I really want to hang out with my dude bros and this quarantine sucks. And I would have been like, oh, Matt, you totally should do that. Instead, he talks about Mario. And so I didn't have it's like Jonathan Gottman, the Gottman Institute. He talks about bids that we do in marriage. And so Matt did a bid and he said, I am deeply sad and lonely and missing my friends. Said it with Dr. Mario. And so I missed it and steamrolled him. So moral of the story for Lori is this. I want to do better at A, not steamrolling Matt, like an Enneagram 8. Sorry, I love you 8s. But that is your usual, but I can do it too, is to actually listen and not belittle or make fun of Matt's things and to invite him into the process still. But even if he doesn't say anything, to say, oh, thanks for sharing that, Matt. I don't know, can you tell me more? Which that's a question I have for you, Matt. Help me understand, because it feels like, how it feels, doesn't mean it is, guys are very insecure emotionally, generally speaking. And we can say I'm lonely, usually, often women can. I'm lonely and I want to hang out with my friends. Please help me to do that. Why do we have to just listen to these subtle nuances and help draw them out in you? Like, is that what we just have to do as wives? Or is there something you can do too?
Well, I mean, I think that first part is a big thing, that if someone is not expressing their opinion, the guy or the girl, it's something that is not just a normal kind of behavioral thing. It's usually been trained into someone to not express their opinion. Now, this could be from childhood, this could be from earlier in the relationship, but there is a dynamic where they have learned it's not really that worth it to share their opinion. So for me, what I need to learn as a 9, because I very easily am just like, yeah, I don't have strong opinions about a lot of things. It's easy for me to just go with the flow. But for me, I've had to learn, and I'm still learning, how to insert myself, to ask for the gap. Like if I always just waited for the gap in conversation to then jump in, it's usually not there.
What?
And so I've had to ask for the gap, and I've had to get a little bit uncomfortable in saying, ooh, I have something to say. And I actually did that sometime this weekend too. Like, hey, can I jump in here in the midst of a conversation? And so if you find yourself kind of feeling steamrolled, you have valuable opinions, it's okay to share them. Try and share them kindly. And if you know that your spouse or the friend that you're hanging out with, whoever it is, doesn't necessarily give their opinion all that much, yes, do the kind thing and invite them to share it. And if it seems trivial, the thing that they're sharing, try not to like dismiss it. Still affirm it. Still invite them like, oh, hey, thank you for sharing that. Even if you're like, wow, that wasn't all that deep or meaningful to me, it might have been to them.
Don't outright make fun of it.
Try not to outright make fun of it.
And say multiple times how dumb it sounds.
Yeah, don't do that.
Do not follow me as I follow Christ. At least in that. Okay. And one more thing for those of us who can be the steamrollers. There is this little check in my head that says, just because Matt suggests it doesn't mean it's dumb. That sounds terrible, but our blanket dances, if you've seen those, Matt suggested them one sunshiny morning, and I was like, 10 things in my head were like, that sounds stupid, that sounds stupid. But then it said in my head, Lori, just because Matt suggested it doesn't mean it's dumb. And it was so fun and so life-giving. So if I want his opinion, I have to be willing to have his opinion be different from mine. And even if it ends up being not the best thing, do I get to be like, well, no, I want to support and come alongside him. That's called marriage. Also, that's called friendship. Mm-hmm. That's the body of Christ here. So chill out, steamrollers, and speak up.
Speak up, silent rollers.
Okay. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments on this, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Thanks, guys. See you next week.